Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at thetechtrader.com. It's Saturday morning, the 18th of April. This is the weekend webinar. Well, to say the least, the market's had a phenomenal performance. In the last 13 consecutive trading days, the Nasdaq 100 composite, or should I say the Nasdaq composite, has been up. I think the NVDA as well. Let's look at that real quick. Yep, every day, 13 days in a row, off the spike bottom low of 22,841, the high on Friday 26,719, nearly 4,000 points. I call it 3,800 points. It's about a 15% run in such a short period of time, including a breakaway gap above declining top sign, moving averages and VWAP and everything else, and then onward and upward. Are we overbought? You think? But the problem is short term for sure. We haven't had this in 34 years when the Nasdaq has gone up 13 days in a row. And with what's going on, quite frankly, in Iran, back and forth, and with what the president and Iran are saying on being unreliable, I think the market is extremely volatile next week. And I'm looking for a pullback, retest, consolidation, even a Fibonacci retracement as much as 0.375 or something like that, down towards this zone down here, 25.8, thereabout, maybe less, maybe more. What's the S&P look like? Only one down day in the last 13 sessions, and that was a minor one. Right now, we're extended and having gone from a low of 63.16 to an all-time high at 71.47. Now, my target was 71.45 that I mentioned last week. Doesn't mean that's right, and that doesn't mean we can't go higher for a day or two more, but I think the market is due for a definitive pullback, at least retest the triple top area that was broken here. That came in around the 7,000 range. So 100 points down, 125 points down is really nothing, quite frankly. And we might see something even closer to 6,900 or less. There's always a possibility of 50% fib retracement down to 67, 50, 60 range down there as well. So you just don't know once it gets started how fast the momentum takes you down. What's really interesting, in addition to the S&P and the Nasdaq 100, look at the small cap index, IWM, which has gone from 238 to 278, basically, 40 points. When you talk about 40 points on an index, that's 240. You're looking at, I would say, what, 60-70% run up in a very, very short period of time. Pretty incredible stuff. Pretty incredible. So we're just going to have to see what the market does, but it looks to me like we are due for a pullback retracement. And in the case of the IWM, probably something down near 267 or even as low as 261. It's a very tough call. And again, momentum could take you up for a day or two more before we do that. But we are certainly next week due for a pullback, in my opinion. In addition, look at the transportation index go bonkers. How about that move? 17,370 to 22,560. We're talking about 4,800 points. 4,800. That's like a 25% move in such a short period of time. I'm not sure if that's the right percentage, but it's over 20. And so the biggest percentage move of all comes from transportation and a vertical spike blow-off move. It's a long-term 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, isn't it? So it's a tough call. Momentum could carry it further, but at some point we're probably due for a pullback to test 20,000. Might take. We'll see. 20,800 first, then 20,000. So am I calling for a pullback? You betcha. But the point is from where and when does it start? I think it may even start overnight pre-market on Sunday night, but we'll just have to see. Obviously, geopolitical events will determine partially that much. Okay, so what about the underlying technicals? Let's look at the McClellan oscillator. It didn't get super overbought, but it's in that range. The highest level we've seen on Friday, 133 plus 133. Is the highest reading we've had since since May of last year. So an 11-month high on the McClellan oscillator. So this too is in an overbought territory, which could exceed. It could go to 160, 180, 200. But it could also drop quickly and back towards zero. And so, stay tuned. We'll find out about that. The percentage of stocks above their 40 has literally ramped from 16, 17%, or less than that. The low in March on this index, 15.5. Friday, 64.78. More than quadrupled. It's gone from when you go from 15 to 65 range. Pretty amazing. And take a look what the overbought level for this index has been for a long time, up in this range, and we're just about there. So unless we get a spillover on Monday, I think this is due for a pullback as well. So all the indicators are showing me market likely to see a retrenchment, retracement, consolidation, whatever you want to call it, or whatever it appears. We're going to have to accept it, of course, but let the market tell you what to do. Now, the VIX hasn't shown anything but downward movement since it spiked in March, all the way up at 35. It's in half now at 1748. And that's the lowest level in 6 weeks. So this too being at the lowest level in 6 weeks, with the oscillator the highest level in months, and all the other indicators showing extreme overbought, the market is so ready for a pullback. It isn't funny. You just saw the transportation indices. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq 100 components, and you'll see why the market is where it is. Apple, even though it hasn't gone a vertical rise like some of them did, held twice support level around 245.6. It ramped up to 270. 272 was the high. There's key resistance, in my way of thinking, they're 280.81. If we do get an extension, that's your resistance area. On the other hand, Amazon's gone vertical. Look at that move. Just when it looked like Amazon was completing a head and shoulder top with a breakaway gap and a large bear wedge, it broke the opposite way and the shorts were squeezed. And this thing went from 199, it's called a 200, to 256. Now we're talking about a 25% run, a very amazing move for a large cap stock that fast. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sessions. 8 sessions, 25% for $200 stock. Really amazing move. And where are we though? Right near the all-time high. That was in last November at 258.60. We reached 256. Very close to the all-time high. So is there resistance up here? You betcha. Can we get through and get up to that channel top, 290.95? Yeah, but right now it looks like they may have to pull back first. Google recovered beautifully after it looked like the head and shoulder top broke, and it did. It snapped right back, went to the moving average at VWAP, and went to lateral price resistance, and now is a frac off the all-time high, which was 350. What was the high Thursday? Friday? Call it 340. 10 points away from the all-time high on Google after being down to 271 and ramping up to 340 rate, basically. A pretty amazing move, nearly 70 points in 8 sessions for Google. Is that overbought? Well, yeah, but usually at the beginning of every major move, you get a thrust like that. 8 days in a row, that's a lot. Will it pull back and consolidate, hold around support around 319, 315.19? That's your support. I think if we do get a pullback, it could be a buy there. We'll see. I'll be keeping track of GGLL too. Similar pattern. That's the ETF for it. Okay, moving on. Microsoft, what a recovery. Just when it looked like it was dead in the water. Look at this. Here's a stock that double top, came down from the bear flag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down. If I'm counting it right. And then a huge rally along with the rest of them. And so Microsoft go from 356 to 432 nearly, right to the declining top line, right to the 50-day moving average, and right to lateral price resistance, what we call a triple negative resistance level. So I can see why we may have tried to pull back a little here from the high intraday at 431 and close at 422. Still up too, but way off the high on an intraday basis. You'll see it right there. So yeah, all of these, and it's at a resistance zone as well. So when you get all that resistance there and you go right up to it, you often do pull back. But to what level? I would think maybe around 410 at least, maybe as low as 395, 400. It's a difficult call as to how far the fib retracement takes you, but we certainly do for one. And you can see the major declining top sign right there too. So Microsoft is vulnerable to a pullback, no question. Moving on to Netflix, and it really had a bad day Friday because earnings came out Thursday night. This stock was going along like a champ, and look at this. See that declining top sign? Almost got right to it. It got to lateral price resistance. The earnings came out. The stock got crushed, down 1051. That's a 10% drop, and yet the market was still up despite Netflix, and it's right on support. If we break here and the market does come down, I would think Netflix is going to retest the 90 range. Currently 97. What about Meta? I mean, vertical, an amazing move from 520 to 691. We're talking about 170 points in a couple of weeks. And so, yeah, we're overbought and extended without any pullback whatsoever. Pretty much. I mean, we had a little 2-day rest here and a 2-day rest there, but it does look like, if you look at an hourly chart, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move. So you get 5 waves to resistance on a major stock like that. And it's a major component. When this pulls down, and it could easily pull down to 640, 45 points over the next few days or so, then that could obviously dramatically affect the NDX as well. Am I looking for a pullback? You betcha. Does the market have phenomenal momentum? Sure, but it's at resistance on most of these stocks. NVIDIA also looked pretty toppy and broke down underneath support, only to get to the secondary key support at this double bottom back here and hold it. NVIDIA goes from 164 to 201, 37, 38 points vertically, and goes up about 22% in a couple weeks. And it blows through the moving averages, blows through the declining tops line, and even lateral price resistance. And, so they can see that this is really strong momentum. And can NVIDIA go all the way back up to 211, 12? Well, it is the leader, and it's possible. But even if we have another day or two to the upside, I think this is going to pull back down towards, it seems, about 192, 95 range, at least, maybe more than that. We shall see. And finally, the monster of the midway that has been for the last few years, but was looking pretty ugly, turned it around as well. Tesla. Look at this drop from nearly 500, 498.99. It dropped down to 337. We're talking about 160 points down in a very orderly fashion. How fast did it recover? Well, it went from 337 to 409. 72 points, or 20% in 13 days. Is it across your declining tops line, moving averages, and lateral price resistance? Absolutely. So this is free to go higher, but will it back and fill first, or go a little bit higher in that range? You can see the next target for Tesla is 440.50 zone. Whether it gets there first, I doubt it. I think it's going to have to back and fill. I'll tell you what, though, if this market can hold steady in this range and not get too much of a pullback, say maybe a 3 or 4% pullback, and then flag and do some consolidations and set up some continuation patterns, we can have a blowout market, especially after the war is completely settled, if that ever is the case. We'll see. Anyway, that's a look at your Nasdaq 100 major components. You also have, obviously, your AMDs and your Dells and other stocks, all of which are looking intriguingly strong, too. Here's a quick look at AMD. Look at that spike to a new, went not a new high, but a new double top breakout. Is it a new high? I think it is. Yeah. So we went to a new all-time high on Friday at 277. 281 was tagged on AMD. I'd be also watching the AMDL ETF. It looks like the big boys, their ETFs, the leverage ETFs, have just been phenomenal. Got to be careful, though. I think this one, for example, could pull back to 18 from 22 as AMD backs off and retests somewhere down in the, 240 range, 250. We'll see. Again, the follow through could be massive, but look, let's face it. AMD 12 days in a row finally had like a flat day on Friday, so maybe it's telling us it's getting tired and too long in the tooth, so to speak. And then there's Dell, which I love. Great chart. And there's DLLL, the ETF for it. New all-time highs on both, by the way. Dell is possibly going to 300, maybe 400 over the next year. That's what I think. Phenomenal move. This measure move here, about 100 points. If duplicated, would lead to 211. So that's my near-term target, and you can also see it's near the channel top too. If that occurs, the DLL could also extend. All right, well, we've talked a lot about some of the Nasdaq leaders, and there's others, of course, but we're going to move on to look at the major ETFs that we trade, that we follow closely to guide us in the market, because they're the leading groups, like the semiconductors and the SMH. Now, how about this move? If you thought the move from April's all the way down here, this low back a year ago at 170 to the recent high at 428, if you thought that was good, look at this move. After pulling back to 359, it literally went up more than 100 points, 105 points to 466, and up every day since the bottom. Now, if this pulls back and only gets back in this zone at 430.35, we're still looking at 30 points down. That could easily occur before it sets up and moves higher in towards 500, if that occurs. So that's the semiconductors. What about biotechs? Well, look at that. Just when it looked like this is rolling over, it held secondary support, much like Apple did and a lot of other stocks. Double bottomed around 134 and flew to 212. That's 78 points. We're talking about literally 50% move in 2 weeks on the LABU. Phenomenal. Broke through the moving averages, stalled for a wedge for a couple of days, tested the moving averages in VWAP, and then kept going. Now, how far can this go? Well, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's going to be a $400 stock and double from here, but in a market that blows off, anything's possible. But we're following new all-time highs on the SMH, LABU, etc. Financials, different story, but a good recovery. Far from their all-time highs, they have done a 50% fib retracement from 184 to a drop to 106. Let's call it 78 points. We went from 107-ish to 145, about 38 points. So that's about a 50% fib retracement. And there's a lateral resistance here. It would be natural for the market to back off a little and consolidate flag before and if it goes up any higher. Your next target would probably be about 163. But no question, when you're in a downtrend, multiple waves down, you break a solid declining channel with a breakaway gap, and you do some retesting into the gap, hold it, and then snap back. It's a very strong pattern and a strong reversal. Now, the underlying technicals look good. The volume isn't as heavy as the down volume was, but it's still pretty solid. So in gleaning what we're seeing here, obviously the semiconductors and biotechs leading the way with financials trailing, but still strong. That's what we're seeing there. Other ETFs of note. Obviously, oil and gas is a different story. I'm not going to get into what I would do here. This is extremely speculative right now. The UCO, for example, got crushed on Friday for 10%. After it looked like the war is being settled. Oil's come down from 119 to 80, low 80s. I think the low was 80.50 or something, and then it bounced. So you can see that the low on the UCO, for example, got all the way down to 35, and it bounced to close at 37.64, but it was still down 10%, even at that price. Any break of this level, and we go down to 30 on the UCO. Now, the USO, which is more reflective of the price of oil, got up to 143, almost 44. On Friday's low, we were down to 110. The close was near 117. but still it's a channel break. So I think, obviously oil's turned down. That could change in a second if things reignite in the in the Middle East. So that's oil, and I'm not even going to get into gas because I just don't see anything there. Oil continues to just drift lower in a falling wedge. What KOLD you would think would be flying, but it's only moved back to resistance. I'm not that intrigued at all. Let's go to gold and silver. Here's what I'm seeing on the GLD. This to me is a massive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave and a blow off on big volume and then a reversal. Then it came back up again. It came down and we did a 1, 2, 3, 4. What is this? I would call that a wave 4 rising wedge. If it breaks to the upside, the shorts get trapped and we go higher, probably to 475, 85. Right now it's 443. But it could just easily fail here and come down into the 385 to 400 zone. I'm not happy about what I see with that and or Bitcoin, but Bitcoin at least showed me a little bit of stuff on Friday. Here's the NUGT in the gold sector. They all look similar. It's maybe a bit stronger, but it still has a 1, 2, 3, 4. And its silver is even weaker. It's still a 1, 2, 3, 4 as well. This is a rising flag or wedge into resistance. If it fails here, we drop down, I think, to 57.8 from 73. We break out, we go right back up to 83.85. So this is key point in the trend for the silver and gold stocks and the ETFs as well. I'm going to leave it there on the ETFs and we'll move on. We got a lot of stocks to cover. Starting off alphabetically, AAOI has been monster in the midway. Take a look at this move. Even just since November, when it was 18.5. It's 4.5 months ago. 18.5. The high Friday, 163.99. Unbelievable move. And it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. This is wave 5. How far can I take it? It wouldn't shock me if this stock went to 240, 250, 270 even. But at the same time, any movement under last week's low of 135, I think could bring this back down to 105, 110 range or less. We'll see. Obviously, every day we see play the dip and rip. I also want you to keep an eye on AAOX, the ETF for it. It's gone vertically since it came out. It's extended. So careful with AAOI and X. And we'll move on. In the biotech sector, Aclaris, Diagnostic and Research, a year ago in April was trading down to 105. And by January of this year, it blew up to almost 5. So it was almost a 5-fold increase. It came down, but look at it moving again. There is resistance up there, obviously. Your next target will be 4.5, 4.75, 5, maybe even as high as 5.75. But it's a strong chart. Look at the unbalanced volume, very strong at near an all-time high. So I would have to say that still looks bullish. AEHR, one of our favorites as well, along with AAOI. What a move. 29 low just 2 weeks ago to 91. Are you kidding me? This is a triple in 2.5 weeks. Is it overbought? Well, look at the long-term chart. I would say yes. Can it go further? I would say anything can go further. It has momentum. But I would say Friday's low of 79 underneath that gets me to stop it out. Because it's vulnerable to 69 or less. It can still boom down in that area, back and fill for a bit, and then run into the $100 range or more when a stock has momentum like this. So I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just saying short-term, most of these are extended. Now, here's an interesting chart I've been following for a while. It's in the specialty chemical area breakout with a breakaway gap in November. This stock has run from literally under $1 when it was trading down about, it was right at $1. Popped the 3 and change, pulled back and spent 2 months flagging, and then broke away again. Ran up now as a rising flag and made it all the way up to 5.25 from $1. Here's a 5-fold increase in about 5.5 months. Where's your next target? If we blow through here, it's $7. I kid you not. Keep an eye. ANKR, a member of the very strong semiconductor group, looked like a topping pattern perhaps. but it never broke support and broke out with a breakaway gap out of this declining top line, out of this entire pattern, and went vertical from pullback low at the end of last month at 40.69, Friday's high, how about 69? So basically went up 75% in 13 days. Pretty amazing move. Or extended, yeah, but according to the top of the channel, the target is now 80 big ones. Momentum, yes. Overbought, of course. AMLX in the biotech group. What a move this has had. Literally from under 2 to 19 in the last couple of years. But most recently, it broke out again. And now I'm looking for a run at potentially 19-ish. And it's right there, 1920. We get through that, the top of the channel beckons in the mid-20s. AMLX. MPX is one of my, maybe I would say top 10 or 20 charts. I really like this chart. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we broke out, and now we're on our way to what I think is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a move into the 30s and 40s, potentially on this one, with a stop under, I would say under 16, 15 and a half, something like that. Pretty strong daily chart. ANRO, look at this baby. Breakout, falling wedge, breakaway gap, spike up, coil, pop, another larger coil, run up, and then new highs. What can I tell you about this one other than we're at new all-time highs for this biotech stock? And the way it closed Friday, we might see something in the low to mid-30s soon. Powerful chart. ANTX, some of you remember the March explosive move that literally took it from $1.07 in 4 days to almost 7. Almost a 7-fold increase in 4 sessions. And of course, you're going to need some consolidation or pullback. We got one. But look at the breakout on Friday, a bullish engulfing bar. Watch early next week if this gets to 4 with energy and it closed at 375, it might run to 5 or even 6. Volume's the key on this one. ARTV, another. Multiple tops, breakout, extension, target is 16.5 3/4. ATRO, fantastic rising channel for this aerospace stock that literally went from 14 to high 80s. 80, not high, mid 80s, 83 3/4, something like that. Now the pullback and bounce. If it gets to 84, looking at $100. AXTI, my favorite chart of the year, my opinion. In April, the stock was trading at $1.15, and yesterday's high was 83, folks. That's right, 75-fold increase, something like that, in a year. But more importantly, the chart pattern shows trendline test, test, and it just keeps going up and making new highs. Where's the target now? A crisp new Hyundai. BCRX, pick trader swing, popped out and broke out, then pulled back and tested and bounced and forming a wedge. I think it goes higher. I'm looking for 11, 12, 13. Butterfly Network breaks out of a base, runs sharply to the prior high, then pulls back to the breakout point, then spikes, forms a coil, and breaks out through a triple top. This might be an $8 stock. Black Sky, obviously one of the better aerospace scientific instrument type plays. I believe they're categorizing this in the aerospace group. Pretty choppy, but you can see the breakout last week. And I'm looking out for 45. Bristol Myers, one of my favorite, all-time favorite drug companies for personal reasons. Base, breakout, take care to swing, ran up to all my targets. Pretty heavy overhead resistance here. We get through that being like 63. You might see 68, even 70, 72. BTSG, rising channel since last August, pullback low when it was trading down around 19, and it ran to about 150% to near 50 at 48 range. Next target is low to mid 50s. BW, one of my favorite, I would say 5 favorite charts right now, has literally gone from the April low of last year of 22 cents, I kid you not, to $19. Almost $18.80. Where's it going? Well, according to this channel, if it continues, it could double from here. BWAI Brainsway's been in a phenomenal chart, and it continues to rise. Had a great day Friday, up for another 5%, and I'm looking for 18. BZAI surged, pulled back, held the VWAP, and then popped again. Friday was a big day for it, up 47% on a mere 200 million shares, 207 million. I think we get a follow through, probably testing 3 short term. CADL, sliders a happy camper. The stock went vertical, broke out some key resistance right there through the declining top sign of moving average, and did it one day. Literally went from 516 to 645, finished 4 cents off the high. It's near resistance, but my thoughts are we get to 7.25, and we take that out. We take a year-long base out, and then run it probably to 8.5. CAPR, CAPR with a big spike coil, stair-step your way higher, falling wedge, and right back to resistance. We get through here. I'm looking for 40, 41. Just wanted to point this one out because I completely ignored it. But how about a stock going from 94? I kid you not. Sitting down, 94 to 501. That's meaning 5 times in 120 days, not even 100 days. Avis budget rent-a-car is a $500 stock. Don't ask me why, and I don't care. But we might want to look at Hertz HTZ. It's coming on strong. Look at that move. It went from 385 to 7.5. Is that all there is? Maybe not. If we do get an extension, I'd be looking for 8.5 and 9.75. CCJ, well, uranium, and the leader in uranium is hot. This stock, since April of last year, has only gone from 36 to 134, almost 100 points. Then it pulled back. It looks like to me a long 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, some people might count this as a 1, 2 here, 3, 4, 5 there. I don't. I think the stock goes further. I'm looking for mid-channel 140, upper channel 180. It's possible. Right now, 120. Celcuity, major breakaway gap, run up, flag, pop, little pennant, pop, and a long flag that is now being broken to the upside. Sky's the limit on this one. Maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it go to 150 to 200. CGEM, another biotech, break out of a base wedge, break out a mini wedge, pop, and another wedge. We get to 17, my near-term target. I would look for 2022. Seagon is yet another V bottom right-hand extended coil, breakout, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flag, and that just keeps going. All-time highs, folks, indeed, at Friday, what a day. Up 766, or about 11%. I think the stock's headed for 80. Climb, CLYM, boy, what a nice chart. I love this chart. Coil, explode, a rising wedge, and then break out and just keep going. Here's another wedge, another pop. My target is around 10-11 zone. And if it pulls back, the next target might be 13-14. CMPS, Compass Pathways. For 2 reasons, fundamentally and gut feel, I think this stock is one that's a sleeper. I put it out as a swing this week as it broke back out or above the moving averages. I'm looking for a quick move to 7.5 and then a test of 8 and 9, eventually a 10.5 to $11 stock or more. CMPX, another biotech with a similar name. This is Compass Therapeutics. The other one was Compass Pathways. But Compass Therapeutics, CMPX, breaks out of a coil, spikes, and I believe it's headed for 9.5. CRML, major important technical breakout on Friday with huge volume, only traded 73.6 million shares on a major breakout day above the moving averages and price resistance. Your target is about 15.75 and 20. Now, CoreWeave, CRWV, and its ETFs like CRWG and CVWX all look pretty strong, but they've had big moves and they may be due for pullback consolidations. Here's the parent stock. Beautiful base, break through the decline tops line, setting up a little flag. Your target is the triple top at about 150. That happens, the ETFs will move too. Dell, we talked about earlier. I really like that chart. I think it moves higher. So does the ETF DLLL. DFTX, what a run the last year. 470 to mid 20s or low 20s. Target 26 and 31. Beautiful chart. Here's the DLLL, the ETF for Dell. Strong chart, looking for a 60-70. DRTS breaks out of a nice rounding base, forms a consolidation, and maybe breaking out of that. My target's 10 and 12. EFOI, what a move on Friday. This one literally explodes in one day from 218 to 984. Finishes back to 610. So we need to see if it has a consolidation or follows through or pulls back, but something to watch. ELA breaks out of a multi-month consolidation, pops and forms a flag. I think you might see low 20s on this. ELVN breaks out of a base, forms a multi-month consolidation flag, and then breaks out with a breakaway gap, forms a little flag and pops again. A strong Momo, looking for mid-50s and low 60s. ELVN. ERAS exploded and just keeps running. And this is the one I've been showing you for weeks now. I think eventually it spikes to the high 20s. FEIM, an old pick from one of my institutional clients that we put out in the mid-teens, has reached the low 60s. And now it looks to me like it's coming out again for a move to 70 and 80. FIGs in the garment industry, hard to believe a stock in the garment industry looks like this, but look at that chart. So it literally went from the April low of 3.5 to the recent spike high 17.5, five-fold increase, and now the wedge is broken again. Target 20. Fly breaks out of a base, pulls back and tests, and pops again. I think we're headed to 48 and then 52. Form factor in the semiconductor group, very powerful move. It's taken us from the mid-20s to the 140 range. No kidding, seven-fold increase. And I'm not sure where the top is. It's all-time high territory. FSLY took a hard hit, got down to support, price moving average support, and bounced. Problem is the bounce comes with less than terrific technicals, and I'm concerned about this one. I'm going to need to see it back above 28, 8.5 with volume before I think that this one's reestablished its trend. Careful. GCT broke out Friday to multi-year highs. It's in a beautiful uptrend. I got a target of mid-60s. Galat, which I first gave it to you here at 7 3/4, tripled, pulled down, retested the trend line, and spiked back above resistance. Take a look at Friday's pop. I think we're headed to 22.5 and 26. Glue or Monte Rosa comes out of a base with a pop, wedges, strong rising channel, then a three-wave corrective pullback, spike up, long decline, and now breaking back out again. I think we may retest the mid-20s. GLW is something that's, Corning Glass Works is now just Corning Inc., but you can see the move. This is turned into a monster because of its fiber optics for the data centers, and the stock has moved from 37, I'm not kidding, to 177 in about a year. The reason I'm featuring it is because of the pop wedge, the breakout, and the flag that tells me this may be a $200 stock. GSIT now up 8 days in a row. If it can pop through here, you may get a move to 8 and 10. I think you'll see it. We'll see. HTZ, I showed you earlier, that's the sister stock to Avis, which had a big month, a big run. Now, in the gold sector, one of our swings that I recommended at 5 3/4 and went to 58 3/4 for a 10-fold increase has settled down to a consolidation coil and doesn't look bad. Now, if gold does recover and make new highs, this could be a $78 stock. You got to be careful with this one, though. It's extended. IDN, big pop recently. This was a swing back in here. It didn't really work well. Formed the coil and broke down. but now it's broken back out again and headed higher. It's the highest level in 4 years. I'm looking for a test of $10. AMLX, beautiful rising channel. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the fifth wave could take it to mid-teens. IMVT breaking out on Friday could reach the 33, 35 range. That's my near-term target. INTC, who would have thunk it, has gone from high teens to high 60s since August. Unbelievable. What a great move. Beautiful chart, base, breakaway gap, back and fill, wedge, and go. Is it extended? Yeah. Can it go higher? $70 target. 77, excuse me. Kodiak Sciences has been on my list since it broke out of the coil here and then the falling wedge there. After months of consolidation, it broke out again. It's forming another wedge. My target, high 50s. Kodak. Well, this is the old Eastman Kodak, and you can see that it's making multi-year highs after coming out of a base. It's coming into a key resistance area, though, just above here at around, let's see, 13. It's right there at 13.29. So if we break through here, we might see a spike to high teens. KURA, nice recovery on Friday. That was a breakout. Targeting 11 and 13. LAR, lithium, Argentina breaks through a double top and pulls back, but I think the stock has energy to 12 and 14. LASR, what a beautiful chart. I think this was a swing a while back, but maybe isn't currently. It should be. How about a move from 6 to the low 70s? And should it break through there, you might see high 80s. Lightpath breaks out again, gets through a double top area and reverses, but I still like the look of this for a move that eventually gets me to 18 to 21. Lunar broke out on Friday along with still a lot of the aerospace stocks. This may be headed to what looks like an angle up near mid-30s. LWLG, after a big run and a multi-month coil, it broke out again and it's stair-stepping its way higher. I think this could be headed to high teens, low 20s. MRNA breaking out of a wedge, I think is headed higher, 59 and 65 targets. Max Linear broke out big time last week. Look at this run. From 1622 to 27, about 11-point run in the last 11, 12 days, but it breaks out of a key resistance area through quadruple top. So this might be headed now towards 33. NYSC with a monster couple days. Look at the volume on Thursday. 200 million shares plus. And then Friday, it held the gap. And that's the thing I like the most. Should it get to Friday's high, 4.25-ish, we might see 5.5, 6 again, or more. NEWP, beautiful rising channel with a target now of 7.5, 8. NEXA broke through a double top last week and held. The extension target on this one, I'd have to say, since it's an all-time high, we might see 18, 19. NN, the tech trader swing, broke out and followed through Friday. And like the look of this, the mid-channel target was in high 20s to mid-30s eventually. NRXS breaks out of a base. It's got a 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it's about to go again. Your next target is 9.5, 10. Navitas, beautiful base pattern, pop on Thursday. Little follow through, but no strong close. Still, if it holds in here, it doesn't get too much of a retracement, I would look for 15 and 17.75. I think the OKLL and the whole group may have reversed OKLO, the ETF for it, OKLL. Look at the volume and surge last week. Near term target, 16.575. Ondas still in a coil and has been since January. When will this make a move? Well, watch Friday's high, because above 10.50, 55, I think the stock spikes to 12, 12.5, and maybe much more. OPTX, tech trader swing, broke out. Backed off. Friday was a bearish engulfing day. I'm not so sure about this one. It can be thin. But if it does run mid and then high teens. Ovid, major move a year ago, then a nice consolidation for months. Breaks out on wedges, breaks out on wedges, and breaks out on wedges. It does look like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I tell you what, I don't think it's done until it gets to 4. PL, the tech trader swing from back in here, has run from the low to mid-teens to the $40 range. 40.25 was tagged on Friday. My target is higher at 44 and then 55. Rocket Labs breaks out of a multi-week falling wedge and had a breakaway gap there, right there. I think this might be headed back to 99. And their ETF RKLX, something to watch as that one appears to be breaking out too. Relay Therapeutics, what a move on this one. From under 2 to over 17. And currently 16.75. It's a little extended short term, but it might run at some point into the mid-20s. RLMD, a tech trader, top 26 pick for 26. I think is ready to roll again. Friday was a nice reversal day. And should he get up through 794, I would look for 9 and 11. Roy Vant, a long-term standing tactical tech trader pick after it broke out of this base, has literally run from the 12-13 zone into the 30 range. But based on the angle of ascent and the top of the channel on the 5th wave, we could see mid to high 30s. Sigma Lithium, as a tech trader swing, it's done very well. It popped out and broke out, pulled back a little bit, but held, and then went from 1138 to 21, 8-point run, and blew through a triple top here. So I'm looking for an extension, if the market permits it, that takes it eventually to mid and then high 20s. SKYT coiled for a couple months. Finally broke out this week and is flagging for 3 days. I don't think this is done yet. Looking for 35.6 and then 40. SMR may have reversed. Keep an eye on this one as part of that nanonuclear group that could take off, and this very well might be in the mid to high teens. Sphere Entertainment undauntedly continues to press higher, and I'm looking for 155. Spire broke out. We put a swing on it. It's now wedging bullishly. It didn't have a good day Friday, down 2. But I'd like to see if it holds. And if it does hold, my extension target is mid and then high 20s. SYM, a long-term tech trader swing, but it took months of coiling and then a breakout for me to be re-interested. Take a look at the action here. Back up near resistance. We get through here. We're looking at 73 and 80. Tigo, also a tech trader long-term swing from the high 30s, has gone from 38.9 range into the mid-80s. What a great-looking chart. I don't think it's done until it gets to 95, maybe 115. TNGX, which has been extremely strong, again, still running. Here's a stock that's gone from 1 to 27. New all-time highs. No stopping this one. Looking for high 20s, low 30s. Trox breaks out of the declining top sign and base, forms a little wedge, explodes, wedges again, and now it's flagging or wedging in this area. And they move through 10, might get you 12. TRVI, that's the tech trader, top 26 pick for 26. Look at the breakout on Friday. It's an engulfing bullish bar that tells me we are now headed to 20. TSHA breaks out of a 4-month coil. It goes vertical and takes out the high. Can't ask for much more than that. Mid-channel target, 8. TTMI, nonstop with a target now at 150.60. TXG, another biotech stock that broke out through a double top. Extension target is 30. TYRA, yet another biotech. And you can see why the LABU is strong. This one really ramped up and looks to me like if it continues down this angle, it's going to mid-40s. VIAV, extremely strong and accelerating, might at some point get to $50 very quickly. VICR, very similar, broken through the highs, and might be really headed much higher too. Let's see. This is all-time high territory, and looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th wave is underway, which could reach as high as 275. VIR, tech trader swing, broke out, pulled back. We have a swing on it, then a falling wedge and another breakout. And should this get back above this spike high, and we're close, above 11, 13 and 14 and a half targets. Viasat, a long-term tech trader swing since it was 12 3/4 when it broke out of the base in June of last year, has gone from 12 3/4 to 63, reached all my targets and then some, and I don't think it's done yet. Mid-channel target was high 60s. I think we get there. Watt, very good, strong technical move in tech trader swing since 10 and a half, has doubled, reaching 25.49, almost 140% move in just a couple months. And yet, I don't think this is anywhere near done. Near-term target is 29.30. WULF breaks out of a tech trader as a tech trader swing that broke out, and it looks like it might want to go higher. I have a target of 23. I said on the long side, I got a few shorts to show you, and we'll finish up for today. And I mean very few shorts. The market has taken a lot of these shorts and whipped them back up again, but not these. These are very weak. Look at CAPR. Here's a stock that's come from 64 all the way down to 32 and a half, and it's forming a bear flag. Doesn't look done, does it? And the next target, 30. NVDA forming a bear flag underneath the trend channel, and if it fails and rolls over, we might see 70 or a drop of 30, 35 points. DraftKings looks terrible. I think that goes lower. I'm looking for 18. Planet Fitness, triple top, hidden shoulders, breakdown, no rally whatsoever. It is at support, though. My next target on the downside would be 65. First Solar continues to look ugly, and I'm not sure why when some of the others look good, but fundamentally something's wrong here. I can just tell you that it looks lower. My target now 165 and 145. ELF tries to snap back. It looks like a bear wedge to me. My target is 50. IRTC trying to break out. I'm not sure it's going to. It's tech trader swing short. Tight stop on a cover. But if bear flag fails, look where it's going. 93.95. Grail breakdown, bear flag, bear coil, bear wedge, whatever you want to call it, it's a bear coil. My target, 32. Technoglass also forming a bear wedge. And if it breaks, retesting 40 and then 35 would be targets. SE remains in a terrible looking downtrend, but it's at resistance right here. If it can break out, we cover. If it doesn't, we're looking for 79 and 65. And finally, Duolingo continues to look bad. Look, it's been in a downtrend for a long time, dropping from over 500 to under 100. So I would, at this point, probably cover my short, but at the same time, there's no reason to. With a downside target now, believe it or not, at 65.70. Wow. How ugly is that? Well, anyway, that's the way to finish up the shorts, isn't it? This is HB telling you that there's a very important time ahead for the market. I want you all prepared. Please review this a couple times and get set up for next week. Know where your targets and stops are on a lot of these. If you have any new ideas and or you need any assistance, always feel free to ask me. And just a FYI, next Wednesday, we're having a after hours analyzer trade for members only, meaning that if you have 2 or 3 stocks that you want me to do a thorough analysis on, short, intermediate, and long term, support, resistance, targets, etc., I'll be doing that live and on the air with my members. Please be there after the hours on Wednesday of next week. We'll have more information for you sent out as we go along. This is HB wishing you a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy, get prepared, and fasten your seatbelts for Monday. Bye, everybody.